Hi everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In today's video I'd like to use our MTPRT add-ons to see how the USE minis unfolded our last trading day, which was Friday the 23rd. This was a bit of a quiet day, particularly in the afternoon, because it was basically the day before the Memorial Day holiday in the US. So I want to have a look at and see how MTPredictor would have done nevertheless. Very quiet day on the ES. You can see we didn't have any automatic setups on Friday at all. If I go to the YM, go back to Friday, which was that day, you can see there wasn't really anything apart from some sell setups here, but they were against a blue STF, so you wouldn't have even considered those. The only point of interest was if you'd taken a DP off that last low there, which was the last swing into that high, the correction down into here, which was a minor ABC, stopped at that DP level, so would have actually caught the rally into the close, but that would have been quite advanced trading. So the one I really want to look at is the NQ, and this was quite a good example of the MTPredictor toolset at work. If we look at the NQ, we go back to Friday, you can see that the STF was blue stroke black, therefore you'd only be taking buy setups, so you'd be avoiding this DP sell here. So the two setups of interest were this DP buy, which basically caught the low of the day, and this TS3 buy setup here. So if you were trading these as per our normal MTPredictor trade guidelines for new traders, STF was blue on this first one, so you would have placed the analysis on the chart. You'd have then looked to see what the market was doing at the first target. You can see the market came up and came down. I'll discuss this TS3 buy setup here in a moment. Came up to our first target. When it reached our first target, we come down to look to see what we call the STF and see whether this is either strong or weak. What that means is whether it's crossed our grey strength bands, and as you can see, it had definitely crossed the strength band back here. That was after the trade was initiated, and it was just crossing the strength band here. So what that means is we now swap to our ATR stop to trail our market a little bit further. Therefore it had been stopped out just at that little tick there. Bit unfortunate we didn't catch the last rally into the close, but as this was the Friday afternoon before a US holiday, I very much doubt many traders would have been trading this anyway. You'd have probably been leaving early for your holidays. So on this trade setup here, long from the low of the day there, which is obviously a very nice situation to be in, up here to the first to this point here for a nice 2.8 hour profit. Remember, we use correct position sizing to keep our initial risk small and under control, so a 2.8 hour profit on that trade there would have been very nice indeed. However, that was not the only trade that we saw there. We also saw a TS3 buy setup. This TS3 buy setup would allow the more experienced MTPredictor users among you to pyramid, or in other words add to existing trades. This is a technique that I only suggest if you're experienced, but what this allows you to do is add to existing positions as the market's moving with you. So let's place our analysis on here. We place the analysis on there, and again the position sizing takes care of the number of contracts to trade to keep your initial risk small and under control. The only thing I always suggest is if you are pyramiding, again it's only for experienced traders among you, you place your stop on your first position to break even. So in other words, if you consider these two trades a campaign, you still only have a one risk unit on your campaign. So this would have then added another position going up into the first target. Again, our STF is strong. Just like the other trade, you'd have trailed into that point there, and that would have added an additional 4.6R profit. So 4.6 plus 2.8 would have been 7.4, or just over plus 7R profit on a day before holiday, which is a very good result. But before I finish the video, I'd like to show you something even more interesting. We've seen that these were automatic setups, but let's now go to the 15-minute chart, which is what we do anyway. Let's scroll back to before yesterday even opened, or I should say Friday even opened. And we can see that we had a prior pivot low just about here. Now what we tend to do is we tend to place our DPs on these pivots so they're there in advance. These are leading indicators. And let's just see what happened here. We place the DP on here, and you can see it gave us a level out there in advance before the market even opened. And that's important to know, that before the market even opened, this level's on your chart. So let's just scroll forward and see what this looked like on a 15-minute chart. And there you go. There was that 15-minute DP there, ready and waiting for you. Just see what happened when our first DP buy target came in. Remember, this DP trade setup was on our 3-minute chart, but look where it unfolded. It unfolded right at our 15-minute support zone that we had on our chart in advance. So this gave you extra confidence that this was a good trade setup to take. And if we look going forward, that actually nailed the very low of the day for you. So this is a good example of how our 15-minute DPs are leading indicators, and they give you extra confidence to be able to trade on the shorter time frame charts by knowing that this particular setup here was at higher time frame, or in this case 15-minute support. So I thought that's a good example of showing our higher time frame DPs on our shorter term charts to give you extra confidence in taking your trade setups. So even though it's a day before the Memorial Day holiday in the US, the NQ had some very nice setups, particularly this DP buy here off the higher time frame support zone that actually nailed the low of the day. It's always nice when that happens, and as you see, you had an opportunity to pyramid on this tier 3 buy setup here. And as we've already seen, the result of the first trade setup would have been into the ATR stop there for plus 2.8R, then a pyramid, in other words adding additional trades off here, again into the ATR stop there for an additional 4.7, 4.8R. So the end result was a nice 7R profit for the MTPredictor tools on Friday. So hopefully this has given you a good overview on how MTPredictor looked at the USE minis for Friday, May the 23rd.